To discuss more on LeQuint, we bring in former Buckeye George Reese, a member of the 1999 Final Four team. George, always great to be with you. You know, Thad Matta had said after the Duke game he had wished he'd gotten Q more minutes. He gave that to him last evening, and he certainly capitalized on it.
I think offensively he would love to have Q and DT playing together, but I think the problem right now is just maybe defensively. Last game, Suleiman got going with 17 second-half points, so I think it's just going to evolve into better defense, and then they'll be all right.
Yeah, that Duke game, that was a matchup problem, and Thad even said so. It didn't really give them an advantage, having them both on the court at that time. But you touched on it with DT and Q on the floor at the same time. I mean, this basketball team is so much more fun to watch, and there's certainly a bigger threat to score when that happens.
You saw it in the first half. I mean, you saw him taking Mike Kelly off the dribble, LeQuint that is. He can be a matchup problem, you know, at the forward position because he can shoot, he can take his man off the dribble. So I think it's just all about a matter of him getting his feet wet, and then we'll see what happens.
We know Deshaun is the All-American. He's the go-to guy. But how serious of a threat do you think LeQuint Ross can be throughout this season?
I mean, other than Deshaun Thomas, I think he's the guy that can get his shot off the dribble. I mean, he's offensively sound. He can shoot it. He can take his man off the dribble. So I think other than Deshaun, I think he's the offensive threat we need.
We obviously know LeQuinton brings the three-point game in his arsenal. How important is that he is that big threat for Ohio State?
It's always good to stretch the defense. Anytime you have shooters, and you look at Deshaun stretches the defense, LeQuinton, Shannon, sometimes Sam Thompson and Linzel, it's always good to have good shooters out there.
As we heard in the piece right there from LeQuinton, playing in that Duke game brought him a lot of experience. That was his first big-time college basketball game. We've only seen him in a handful of situations, a handful of games, really no meaningful minutes until this season. This is the year he's going to be relied on coming off that bench. I'm curious, though, in the small sample size that you've seen, what does he need to improve on in his game?
I think just mixing it up. I mean, I think if he becomes more of a post presence offensively, I think that'll help a great deal. And he's always going to be offensively aggressive, so it's just all about, you know, him getting his feet wet.
Yeah, he's getting those feet wet, a handful of games in. He's certainly lighting it up.
Right.
Everyone's got to be excited about the things that LeQuinton Ross is bringing to the floor. George Reese with the breakdown. Much appreciated for your insight, my friend. All right, well, coming up next.
By the way, you did a great job working for the Big Ten Network over the weekend. As you look at yesterday's game, what areas most pleased with as this team continues to really put things together?
Well, I think what I'm most pleased was the play of the other guys. You know, the complimentary guys. You see Shannon Scott played excellent. Ross is doing well. He scored 16 points, 9 rebounds to follow up the 22-point game. So it's the other guys picking up, helping up the slack, helping Deshaun out, showing a good improvement.
You know, George, coming into the game, we saw the Buckeyes not shooting that well maybe in the previous two, but yesterday certainly got back on track against a pretty good club. What do you see in offensive-wise from these guys? And if the shots that both you guys used to score, if you got to keep shooters, got to keep shooting, right?
Yeah, that's the motto. You know, shooters got to keep shooting, and there's beauty in the opportunity. The offense is wide open, a lot of pick and roll games. These guys are going to get opportunities to get out there and knock shots down. They just have to, be confident, step up and make it.
Scooney, we saw this team getting points off transition. I know you love that kind of play where they're moving it up court, they're pressing the action. This is when this team is at its best, though, isn't it, on transition?
Yeah, because they're athletic. You know, you have a guy like Sam Thompson. He gets out in the open court. Shannon finally had a great alley-oop yesterday. Linzel Smith, very athletic, very fast. Kraft, you know what he can do. So if you get these guys out in the open court and they can use their skills and abilities, it'll be great.
George, what do you say? I mean, what players like that play that up-tempo ball, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, up-tempo ball is very fun, but especially when you're taking care of the ball. You got Shannon Scott, who's like 5th in the nation in assist-to-turnover ratio, leading the Big Ten right now, so he's giving that other gear off the bench.
You know, we had, and I want to go to our next video here. We saw 6 guys off the bench. You mentioned them. The bench scoring 37 points, 22 rebounds. LeQuinton Ross, 16 points, 9 rebounds. Shannon Scott had 9 assists. And Sam Thompson, man, it was fun to watch this guy. Electric dunk after electric dunk. No doubt Thad Matta was pretty happy with what he saw.
I felt like all those guys that came in, you know, brought some energy, brought some cohesiveness. You know, everybody came in, they shared the basketball. I mean, Shannon coming off the bench getting 9 assists is tremendous.
It starts in practice. You know, Coach wanted us to be the toughest team. We came out and been the toughest team, and people were scoring.
All right, Scooney, what are you seeing out of LeQuinton Ross? And he really does look like he's coming into his own. I mean, this guy's fighting for floor time, but what do you like about this kid?
I think what I like most about him is explosiveness. He is really showing that he can put the ball in the basket. And I think that's what this team needs. He's hitting outside shots. He's getting to a basket. He's showing the versatility also. And I think compared to the other guys on the team, he's the one guy who can really get his shot.
You know, George, he's a guy that came in here highly touted, and you know, we thought we might see a little more of him a year ago, but this guy is really, he's bought into it certainly, but he's really getting it done right now.
You look at the system and you look at a guy like Evan Turner, and they're trying to mold him a little bit after Evan Turner. Not the same player, but just those guys that can do everything on the floor, be able to dribble, shoot, and make the plays.
You know, George, another guy that was fun to watch, Sam Thompson. I mean, this guy was dunking the basketball. There's a number of guys that are getting minutes off the bench. What are you seeing right now? And obviously, some people have knocked Thad maybe in the past that the bench didn't get that many minutes. You can't say that this year.
Right. You look at the last game, only 2 players played over 25 minutes. So I think it's a luxury when you get guys like Trey McDonald and those guys to get minutes, because it's all about repetition when you have all these home games.
And you got guys that are hungry, Scooney, that are you know, trying to make the most of their playing time. What do you like that competition, don't you? I mean, because everyone's trying to get in on the act, aren't they?
Well, it's good for the team. You know, this is still a young team. I think a lot of people forgetting just because last year went to the Final Four, think that we have a bunch of veterans. No, 2 guys really had positive minutes. So these guys are really fighting and competing, and they're making each other better at the same time.
All right, we talked about, you know, maybe getting these guys more minutes. How big of a dividend will it pay with the Big Ten right around the corner? And then come tournament time, I mean, this is money in the bank, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to get battle tested. As we all know, when you get to the tournament, you have to have guys who have been tested throughout the season, who know what they're doing. And with the competition in the Big Ten this year being the best conference in the country, they're going to get a lot of reps, a lot of time to prove that they are worthy to be one of the teams spoken about come tournament time.
And, George, it's not just against the mop-up. We're seeing them getting key minutes, like down at Duke when they got, you know, where the starters got into some trouble. Deshaun and Aaron were in some foul trouble. We saw these guys come off the bench. I mean, what does that do for these youngsters?
Experience. I mean, if you look at, you know, quote-unquote, the top team in the Big Ten, that's Indiana. Indiana has depth. They have guys coming off the bench that can give you 20 points, double-doubles anytime they need it. So it's all about experience.
All right, Scooney, we all know what the schedule is. They got 3 games, and then here comes Kansas to town. We said that the Duke game was going to be a good gauge to see where the club was at when they went down there. And I think Thad Matta had to be, you know, maybe pleasantly surprised, because I thought they played well down at Duke. Certainly had a chance to win that game. Some could argue they should have won it. How much are they pointing to that December 22nd game against Kansas to find out where they are before they head into the Big Ten play?
Well, right now we're going to be the one speaking about it, because Thad Matta is not thinking about it. You know, right now they're 1 game at a time. These guys are improving. I think they've shown improvement since the Duke game, and they will continue to improve until they get to Kansas. But, you know, as a coach, as a team, you can't look ahead. You have to do it 1 game at a time and don't get complacent.
1 game at a time, George, but they want to make improvement in the next 3 heading into that game, right?
Right. It's all about repetition. Like we said, the experience comes with repetition. Guys like Trey McDonald giving big minutes off the bench, and having guys like Shannon Scott and Quentin Ross keep doing what they're doing.
As we mentioned, it is a long, long season, Scooney. It all comes down to March Madness. That's where you want to be. You want to win the conference title. As you look at this club right now, what do you like that you see? And do you think this team can compete for a Big Ten conference title? And do you think they can make some noise in the Big Ten? I mean, is there promise there?
Well, there's promise, because right now, you know, being at Ohio State, you play to go to the Final Four. You look at Indiana and Michigan, who are in the Big Ten Conference, and people are looking at those 2 teams for Final Four. The thing I like most about Ohio State is there's room to grow. These are a young team. These guys can grow and get better. And come March, we can surprise some people.
George, your parting shots as you look at it. And it all does come down to the tournament. That's what you build the whole season to that time.
It's all about those trophies in the trophy case, you know, and they get ready to prepare for March. But everything is like it's a marathon, you know, not a race.
All right, guys, thank you very much for coming down. You guys do a fabulous, and you were just, I just want to shake your hand. This guy, he's a movie star now. All right, guys. Buckeyes back in action Wednesday as they host Savannah State, and I've been down there. They play some pretty good basketball down there. All right, switching gears to football, the Buckeyes, a perfect 12-0.